I got the green one off. I may have destroyed the keeper on it. Hopefully the new pump comes with those. Since I don't do cars every day anymore, I don't remember what they come with. And I'm going to try to get this one out over here. It's going to take a little more. I am going to take this pump off of here and hold my hand around this thing, keep dirt from going in. I'm going to blow. Dirt's going to get in here anyway. I'm going to try to cover those up too. This locking ring on the outside, it rotates. The pump goes in there and sits in a certain position, then the locking ring rotates around it. And so you just kind of put a chisel or a large screwdriver, pry bar, whatever, put it in here, hammer on that. You gotta go to the other side, hammer on that one too. Sorry about the compressor noise. Sorry about the shadows, because I'm under bright lights I got in front of the garage because it's already getting dark out. I think this ring might be in pretty decent shape. I did a fuel tank a couple of years ago on a pickup truck that was in a lot worse condition. But we can get this fuel pump, and it's going to be about $300. I think it was 280 something. Get that tomorrow. Something is keeping this from coming out. Huh. We got a fuel line that stays inside the tank. I'll be darned. First time seeing that. This is sad because the fuel pump itself is fine, fuel gauge is fine, it's just these rotted out lines on top of it. Yeah, I remember when a fuel pump cost about $15 and it mounted on the engine. It's the way they all were when I was a mechanic. That was a long time ago. carburetors. Anyway, here's the float for the fuel gauge. Got what they call a little resistor wire inside here that higher this goes, the more resistance it adds, or the less resistance, whichever way it's going. So your meter tells you. Anyway, the pump itself is going to be this little round thing it's about as big around as this, but it's long, pump about 3 inches long maybe, and it goes down inside that hole there. And it actually comes out of this thing. It looks like it's just I've changed a few of these that you change the physical pump itself down inside this unit. I had to change this on my pickup truck. It's a 98 and it was expensive, but it was easy because I had changed it to a dump truck, and so I just raised up the bed and there the pump was sitting right in my face. Glad that it didn't happen before I did that. Plastic tank, no rust, that's good. I've been working on this fuel line in the vise. I squeezed it in different positions, like this, like that, all the way around a few times, and then I stopped and I was picking at it from the edges with these really small screwdrivers, and I spent about 5 minutes doing that, and it's moving. I think that is actually coming out of there. I think it's actually coming out of there, and if it's not, I just won't include this in the video. Going to be putting this new fuel pump in this pickup truck. Got the old one sitting there on top of the tank. The whole tank is sitting here on the floor in the shop. New fuel lines. There's a towel sitting over the hole, the fuel tank right there, because the tank has been sitting here for a week. Anyway, there's a couple of things I want to cover that are real important to me before I put something like this on. One of which, you always look over your directions, make sure there's nothing new that you didn't know about. And as far as this one goes, there's really nothing special. It does kind of say remove the fuel cap. Well, it tells you gasoline's dangerous up here on the top line. Remove the fuel cap to take your pressure, to relieve pressure off the tank when you're taking the tank down. Then it says here, the seal is not to be reused. Replace seal with the replacement seal included in the package. Well, yeah, you try to replace it, but I have had experiences where the new seal was in no way, shape, or form going to go in. It just would not compress enough. Had to use the old seal. So, if that's the case, use the old seal. Don't break something trying to get the new seal in if it's not going to compress. Transfer the level sensor from the old fuel module to the new fuel module if applicable. The level sensor is obviously going to be the sending unit right here, and the new one has a new one on it, so we don't have to transfer that. That's this little, there's a switch here. When I went to school they called it a VR. It's a variable resistor. One thing that I find very important to check is make sure that anything that goes inside the new pump that was inside the old one, make sure that all of that is there. Here's a perfect example right here. There's a fuel line inside the tank. I'm not going to bother to find out exactly what it's for. I don't really care, but it I guess it's just a return line is what I think it is. Anyway, there's a lock fitting on here on the old pump. The new pump does not have that. It's not on there. So look for things like that. Make sure that you have those pieces in place that have to be transferred from the old pump to the new one. I'm going to go ahead and put that piece on there now, and I'm going to try to, of course I'll have to hook up the fuel line. You see there's a fuel line down inside the tank that plugs onto that where I showed you that little lock is on that fitting. Okay, I'm going to go on ahead and start doing that. I cleaned this thing off here with a paper towel that was damp, and I was just carefully picking up the dust with it, trying not to let any of it fall in the tank. Now I'm going to put this new gasket on here and hopefully don't have to pull this back off and redo that. But my fuel lines were facing towards the front of the tank, which is that direction. This has been sitting here for a week, so I'm trying to remember how to do this and find a way to get this in here. How am I going to get this in here? Because the line here is catching a little bit. There, we're in there now. Now there's a kink on this line, and that's because I fought with it trying to get the thing out. So I'm going to try to fix that kink here. And since it's just a return line, I don't think it's important if the line leaks. It's just going to spray a little bit in there, which I really would not be too awful worried about it. And now you can't see what I'm doing without me getting the cameras in a different position, but this does plug right onto this tube that I had to put that little locking tab on from the other pump. It goes right here. I got to turn those little locking tabs in the right direction so that they'll go into these holes on here on the sides. There. It goes on easier than it comes off. It's on there now and it's not coming back off. Oh, I wondered why this was sitting on the bottom but not going down all the way, because it's spring loaded. I didn't even realize that. Well, my fuel lines go over here. Had to replace the pressure line. That's the new one here, because the old one was rusted inside so bad. So before I put this thing down in place, I'm going to go ahead and put these together. I'm going to spray a little WD in there. That's kind of dry. Okay, this goes on the smaller one. And I think I need locking tabs on that too, and I don't see them. I gotta find out where they went, because the new pump doesn't have any of those little locks on it. They're not on the old one because the ends, the fittings were just rusted off. They just broke off. So I gotta find those and put them on here. Didn't know I didn't have them handy. Here is the old one that goes on the new pressure line, and it was just coming out in pieces, and it took me quite a while to get this worked out of that line, and there was no way I was going to be able to reuse the old line. Now the new one comes with a different kind of a lock on it, and it looks like we can just press this on there and then snap this closed on top of it. The old one, we still have to put the old one, I mean the return line. I'll still have to get this green one off of here. It looks like it's salvageable. I can get it off and put that on here. Push this on with these little locks facing towards this so that there, now it's on there. Should be locked and sealed on there, I hope. I just had to rotate this line until it fit into the impressions in the tank. It's actually got a place to snap in right here, and right here, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and push this in. I'm going to squirt a little WD in there too. Just my preference. I'm not saying anybody needs to do that. Push that in tight, snap this lock down, and we are on there. Now as far as getting this back up, I'll have to show on this in a close-up, but it looks like you just have to squeeze these together down here, and whoops, squeeze these two together on the bottom, and it looks like I should be able to just push that back up. Actually, I got to do that to even get started, because this one was down already, and I would not have even gotten that on there, onto the other line that it plugs into. I don't know that we need this. I don't think we need it right where it needs to plug in there, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Boy, did I screw up. I forgot to put this on there. I'll just thread it down. This line, because the old line comes off a little easier. locks are in there good where it won't just come off. And I hope this is all we got to do before I lock this thing on. But I don't want friction to be a problem and sparks or anything for sure, so I'm just going to WD this thing a little bit. Just once again, my preference. Not saying you need to do that. Put some WD on these little tabs because this has to rotate clockwise and lock underneath these, and I want that to have a little lube on it and no friction. No chance of any sparks, because I might have to tap on it with a hammer and a screwdriver a little bit. That's probably why they tell you to use a span or wrench. Okay, we got that started, and it's good because the I got my hammer. Now where's the screwdriver? But at least we're started, and the new seal is in place, and so I've got enough to go ahead and start hammering this on. On my pickup truck, on my 98, I could not get the new seal in there. I could not get it far enough to even get it started like it is now. So I'm going to tap this. Now I'm going to go to the other side because that one started. The hump is underneath this already a little bit. And I'm going to go over here and do the same thing. And you keep going all the way around until this goes all the way down to the end of the slot there. See my little gap right here? I'm not there yet. I got about a 1/4 inch to go. There, that one's pretty much home. Well, it is all the way around, really. That's done. This tank should be ready to put back in the car, in the truck. But I gotta move this, if this will move this tag. Either take it off or move it down. Well, I'm going to take this one off again because it's not going here where I want it to go. Looks like it needs to go underneath this line here. In order to get it under that, pull this one off again. I didn't know that they had gotten out of place like that. There, that's a better fit like that. I like these places on this tank where these lines snap in and they just fit just right. Metal tanks are not quite that good. This plastic tank has better fitting to it. And the lines just stay in place. Now this line over here snaps on here, but the problem is I can't leave it on here because it goes over a cross member. So the tank has to be installed. Looks like this should just be snapped on there, but no, that's got to go over a cross member first and then goes on there.